Welcome to the Your Living Proof podcast. If you love someone struggling with addiction and are searching for answers, we're so glad you found us. Families are the cornerstone of long-term recovery, yet they often go unsupported. Our mission is to strengthen and support this vital but often overlooked part of the addiction recovery process. We're here to help families understand what their role is and isn't in this journey. Addiction deceives and takes everything you're willing to give. But if you know better, you can do better. And we're here to help you do just that. If you're asking, how can I help my addicted loved one? This is your community.
If you enjoy watching podcasts, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more support and resources between episodes, follow us on Instagram at Your Living Proof or visit our website at yourlivingproof.com. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast. We are now at episode 102.
I wish you guys go to YouTube and watch Danny do that intro because he does the cutest thing with his mouth and it's the same every time. I love it.
Oh my gosh, she loves me today. I'm learning this whole new thing, you guys. Every day, let's not argue about this, but
I'm not.
Is this appropriate?
Now you're picking a fight?
Every day, I am now learning, okay? We're what are you, 40? I'm late 40s. I'm
I know
learning
where you're
about
going with this.
perimenopause.
It's a real thing.
I'm learning about it.
He's being educated in real time. It's a little terrifying, I'm sure.
In all seriousness, though, I'm glad that my wife has resources to learn about it, to totally be aware of it.
Yeah, you guys, it's messed up. We're going to we should just do a whole episode where we just talk about how messed up it is that there's so many women in the world that have to actually carry the burdens of so many people they love that are losing their minds when they're not even going through perimenopause. I mean, if anybody should be addicted, it should be somebody that's going through perimenopause because you actually feel like you're on drugs, but you're not.
But isn't it all of you?
Oh, thank you for pointing that out.
We're It's hard, too, because from a man's perspective, I'm just like, well, what about me? Because here's what she gets. She gets the same person. I look the same, smell the same, sound the same. I do everything the same every day.
Wouldn't it be amazing to just have this consistent flow of hormones, guys? Do you hear me, ladies?
With her, it's like
it's so messed up.
Okay, don't fight with her. One day I'm like, oh, she loves me. One day I'm like, oh, maybe she doesn't. One day I'm just like, I don't know. One day it's a little bit nerve-wracking. The other day it's liberating. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so. Then I'm like, oh no.
Imagine being me.
So when she said that I'm cute, I was like, it's one of those days.
He's like, yes, the odds are ever in my favor.
She likes me. Let's go to the bedroom. The kids are still in school. Let's go.
Oh man, the truth.
Guys, this is episode 102, and I'm so grateful, so excited. Tomorrow, actually, so when we record this, it'll come out a week later.
2 weeks.
2 weeks later. But tomorrow is my true 18th sobriety day.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful at this point.
It's kind of like Christmas Eve.
Yeah, sort of. Except,
sobriety Eve.
I don't know. There is such a mixed emotions that happen.
I know.
Every week, I'll tell you, the truth is, I start to have nightmares. I start to relive some things that I experienced. I don't feel the associated feeling anymore, thanks to God and the atonement of Jesus Christ. But I'm able to remember. But I'm also filled with this fuel, like this undeniable desire to help more people find this in their life, to help the families who are on the sideline wondering how to help and support their loved one. Just so many different mixed emotions of gratitude, just like almost even, I'd have to be honest, like even being unworthy of all the blessings that have happened. You know, it's like, I know that's nonsense and I've learned that through my addiction, but I'm so grateful.
Your recovery, not through your addiction.
Yeah, thank you. Well, through recovering from it.
Yes.
There's that perimenopause coming back.
No, see, and then he starts to throw it in my face. That's when you need to be scared.
Okay, guys, how do we get to joke about this? Some days I can joke about it and it's a joke. Other days when I joke about it.
You can only joke about it if you're going through it. That's like, you can only talk crap about your own like sibling, right? If I did, then it would be a problem. So
I am going through it with you.
No.
See, what's the argument in your home? If you're the man, are you going through it with her? Or
You're
are you
just an observer. Judas Priest.
Okay, guys, let's get back on track. But anyway, I'm extremely grateful, determined. I'm here. Reach out, continue following, share this podcast. If you've been following it for a while and you're ready to take some action and do something to change the situation you're in with you and your loved one, stop waiting. Today's topic is one that I hope, I don't hope. This topic is one that every single person wonders.
Yeah.
And I hope that this is a podcast that empowers you entirely to look at things different and to take different action, because the world is super confused by this. The world is completely being manipulated by this.
Yeah.
For financial gain reasons, for convenience reasons, for just denial reasons.
Well, and just people don't know. It's a general thing that people don't know about.
Okay. The topic in question is this really a thing about addiction, or is it about mental health? In a decade of working with families, that has been the number one question. Well, even when it gets to a place where it's super bad, undeniable, showing up in their life, like, well, I know things are bad, but I just still wonder if this is a thing of mental health. Especially, you guys all know where I stand on the deadliest. What's the most deadly addiction? It's the high functioning. Yeah. The one where you put the word just right before you say it. Well, they're just drinking too much, or it's just porn.
Yeah, well, they still have a job, so.
That's the deadliest. But even at that place where they're high functioning, everyone wonders, well, I don't even know. Is this a thing about addiction or mental health? Yeah. Please tune in. Please share this with other people, because everyone is held hostage by that thought. And there's an actual easy answer, and I'm going to give it to you in just a minute, but we do have to break this down. Yeah. I mean, if it was up to me, we'd just come in here for 5 minutes, we'd record, and we'd be gone. But this is also the time that she's the nicest to me sometimes. So
oh my gosh, you're just on a pity pot today.
No,
man.
She looks beautiful, and I'm distracted by her today. But also, she said I'm cute, so I am now a little distracted. Okay, but let's do this. Before we get into the answer.
Let's understand the two things we're talking about here.
Okay,
so
break it down.
So mental health. This could be postpartum. This could be OCD. This could be PTSD. This could be bipolar disorder. I mean, depression, anxiety, all of it. Every single one of them. It's mental illness by definition is characterized by a disturbance in a person's cognition, their thinking, emotion regulation, or behavior that reflects a change or a dysfunction in the psychological, biological, or developmental processes. Okay? But in short, we all know and have struggled before with some form of this, or our best friend has, or our sister, or whatever.
Wait, no, you just keyed on something. Okay, back in the good old days, cowboys, Indians, I don't know, our great-grandparents, this wasn't known, right? Mental health wasn't even talked about.
ADHD, another huge one.
Everybody has it. If you went through the list of mental health, every single one of us in this mortal experience have been given a mental health challenge. Yeah. At some point, it could be situational. It could be... But hone in on that, okay? Yeah. Remember that I said that. Every one of us have it to some degree, because I'm coming back to that. It's very important. Don't forget that. To some degree, we have it. So addiction is clinically known as SUD, S-U-D, substance use disorder. The description is addiction involves patterns of or symptoms caused by consistently using a substance despite its negative consequences. You guys always hear me about this, right? It's the greatest lie about addiction is that people are waiting for a person just to wake up and take the wheel of their life again. They're just waiting for a person to want it for themselves. That's the definition of addiction. They keep doing it even though the consequences are piling up.
Even though the consequences are negative.
So even though mental health disorders don't always involve addiction, this is key. Mental health disorders don't always involve addiction. Addiction is always classified as a mental health disorder.
So right there, that's why this is such a valid concern, because it's confusing. It's hard. It's hard to sort through that.
Okay. Thank you. It is. It's valid.
It's very, very valid that this is an issue that people are getting wrong over and over again.
Okay. I'm going to try to stay composed today. Wouldn't that be much easier? Wouldn't that be better? Isn't that less threatening?
What, a mental health disorder?
Okay, my child or my spouse is off the rails.
But they have
They have a mental health disorder.
They have severe OCD.
Yeah.
So
Okay, we didn't even discuss this before as a point of topic, but it's less shaming.
way less shaming.
Oh, well, okay. Everybody does.
Yeah, then this makes sense then that they're doing this because they have a mental health problem.
That's easier to say. It's easier to speak about in your circles of
sure.
influence. It's easier to speak about at church. It's easier to speak about between you as a family.
Yep.
It's something easier to pinpoint it on. And I'm not discrediting it. My goodness, I have my own challenges. It dealt with depression, anxiety, for sure, ADHD. All of us do. Remember that. I'm coming back to this one hard. To some degree, we all have an issue with one or multiple mental health challenges. What is the most common approach? Okay. It reveals itself that someone we love has severe this or severe that, or they're challenged with this.
Take them to the doctor.
Take them to the doctor. In America, we are the worst in the world. The first thing is, go find what?
Therapist, psychiatrist.
Yeah, and they're going to give them what?
Some prescription to fix them.
Something, a prescription, a chemical. Now, please hear me before I lose your attention span. I shouldn't say attention span, but maybe like you start to discredit what we're saying. Undeniably proven. There are those who benefit because they're chemically imbalanced from medications. Right? It is a positive thing for some.
You mean they're chemically balanced?
No, what I'm saying is for those people who've found relief and balance from, I'm not saying that just every prescription is bad. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah.
I believe that a lot of it has been inspired. It's been...
For sure. I can say because I suffered from severe postpartum after our first child, that had I not had medication for a 3 to 4 month period, I don't know that I would be here.
Correct. So it does serve an incredible purpose, life-saving purposes.
Yeah.
But that's the most common approach. Someone we know struggling, let's go put them on a pill. Oh my gosh, how long does it take to work? Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Oh, it should kick in 48 hours, or it might take 3 weeks before it kicks in.
Yeah.
Okay, we're looking for that solution.
Right.
Okay, that's the most common approach. Okay, the other common approach is, like you said, go see a psychiatrist, or they need to go talk to the bishop. We need to pray this away.
Sure.
Or
yeah.
their priest or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe that's some sort of confession.
For sure, if it's like depression, I feel like that's a lot where people are like, well, maybe they just need to go talk to somebody about their feelings.
This is where we come to a crossroad, and I hope everyone, please hear us. There are those in your life. We have children with different issues that we're navigating right now and trying to figure out what to do. All of you do. Please separate the two. For those of you following this podcast, listening intently, most of your loved ones are also dealing with an addiction that has come from self-medicating. Okay, let's not worry about what caused it. Let's just focus on the here and the now. For those, this is different. If you're talking about a child who has never self-medicated with anything, the approach that we talked about, the most common approach, would probably be the right one. Looking at options. I still think, and what we're trying to do is navigate every alternative option, as inconvenient as it is before medications are used. But let's just say that's the route for them. Please remember that most people here listening are dealing with something different, or at least now the combination of two.
Sure.
Underlying mental health issues combined with an addiction. So why is it that the most common route is dangerous in that situation when we describe that person?
Well, because it's a Band-Aid.
We're adding chemicals to a person who's been self-medicating with a cocktail of whatever. And if for 1 minute you're like, no, they just gambled. No, it's just pornography. Oh, it's just alcohol. First of all, you've heard in almost every episode, what you know is just a fraction. You know nothing. You found the crumbs that dropped where they got sloppy. There's always more going on. And even if you're aware of at least half of what's going on, understanding the frame of mind they're in is really hard to comprehend. There are always underlying issues every time. So here's an insider's perspective. When you self-medicate, oh man, so many things happen. When you start self-medicating, I'm just going to mention a few and then we're going to break them down. The best way to describe this is, I like just simple, practical description. It makes you certifiably insane without knowing it. Remember, you are crazy and you're unable to see that or to stop doing it even if you can see it. And that comes because of extreme highs and lows, poor diet, sleep irregularity, and so many things.
Will you just kind of describe what you mean by self-medicating?
Okay. Self-medicating is a safe word, right? Socially accepted way of they're using drugs and alcohol. I don't care what the concoctions are. For many people, it's alcohol combined with some prescription medications, like the ones that say don't. Why do you think so many of them say don't mix with alcohol? Because it magnifies the effect and they love it. They use it that way. Whether it's abusing prescription medications like Adderall.
Yeah.
Whether it's combining Adderall and porn, which you've heard before in a previous episode, is the new speedball of our today. It could be illicit drugs. It could be the abuse of drugs that come from your doctor, taking them irresponsibly. You're self-medicating. It could be in the form of marijuana, of edibles. Like you yourself are giving yourself what you need to feel better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Drug abuse is what it is.
Yeah.
And drugs nowadays can be anything. It can be gambling. Can I just please say this is an opinion. This is just after years of working with hundreds of individuals like your loved one, thousands at least being involved with, like going to different groups and meetings. They all have a cocktail that they use to consume. And it's okay. If you're the one sitting there going, no, I know. It's okay. This isn't meant to like prove that you're wrong. It's just to help you understand it is always worse than you're aware. The drug abuse.
Well, I think it's interesting because it starts as like some sort of like a self-soothing solution, right? But then it turns into this actual drug abuse, which we all know alters your brain chemistry. Like you can't stay on that road and not fall into the consequences, right? That are just, they're futile. Like they have consequences.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, you did.
No, but guess what? On that point, because I don't want to go past it and then my brain will forget it. You know how many people start drug addiction like myself? Because we found the solution.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. You're not trying to be a drug user. You're just trying to feel okay.
Yes, correct. The things that people take, and it's okay if it's not what you would ever do. You probably eat more than you should. You probably judge other people more than you should. We all have our things. They just found something that you wouldn't have chosen, and by doing so, it made them feel great.
Yeah.
You know what? Can I share something from a personal perspective?
Yeah.
When I started drugs and alcohol, I knew it was wrong. I was been taught it was wrong by my family and church. I knew it was wrong. I actually was shaking because I knew it was so wrong. But simultaneously, I felt great. Now, there's a thing called the buzz and the euphoria that people pinpoint. Ooh, I like that. There are people who don't. I have siblings. It's like, that's the last thing.
I hate it.
Yeah, she hates it. Other people are like, oh, I've been waiting for this feeling my whole life. Why this is so important and why I share this, because that was what was easily acknowledged, was how good it felt. But I didn't recognize for a long time what it had really done for me. It wasn't the fun. It wasn't the buzz. It wasn't the high. It was the mental health issues that I had previously and were unaware of, unable to navigate through. It just muted them.
Yeah.
So if we read this, drugs often trigger a flood of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward, leading to a high. However, this can disrupt the brain's natural reward system, potentially leading to craving and impulse drug use. Well, of course.
Yeah.
I think we all understand that.
Yeah.
So let's get into what drug abuse does, and then I'm going to give you the answer. Remember I said there's an easy answer to all this, like a new mindset,
Yeah.
So for sure, what they're self-medicating with in the beginning was the answer. It was a solution, made everything better.
Yep.
Then you take drug addiction, and you have to remember, an already drug-induced brain with whatever it is, content, gambling, alcohol, pills, illegal drugs,
all of it.
Oh my gosh, I could go on and on. You're sitting there going, well, they don't do that. They just smoke weed. And it's all of it. Just consider all of it a poison. Okay, let's just say they're self-medicating with a poison. It exacerbates. Did I say that right?
No, you never say it right. It's okay.
How do you say it?
Exacerbates.
Ooh, say it again.
Exacerbates.
Oh, that's beautiful when you say that. I don't know how to say it.
It exacerbates their already existing mental health problems.
Drastically. This is the point I wanted to hit home. Whatever underlying things I had at first that when I self-medicated were muted. Wasn't even aware that was happening because I was doing it in the name of fun.
Yeah.
It drastically worsens them.
Yeah.
So what happens? My ADHD, my restlessness, my anxiety, my depression. As my use increased, all of those symptoms increased with it. Mm-hmm. So what do you have to do?
Increase your use.
Increase your use. You're chasing that high. You're trying to mute and silence all of them. And now you've become everything. You've become God. You become doctor. You become the answer, which is what leads into drug abuse.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting about that too, that I just want to touch on is like for those that are actually prescribed something for their mental health issue and then fall into that trap, right? Like they know they have this issue, so they take this medication, but it doesn't seem scary to abuse it, right? Because, I mean, they were given this because they have a problem, right?
And again, please, this is not everyone. Not everyone that's prescribed things from a doctor abuses it.
Right.
Not everyone.
No.
But there are a lot that do, especially those with underlying issues of mental health. The doctor gives them and it kind of helps for a little while, but then the effects aren't working as good. And so something else is added. And sometimes it's what they add.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many times people add alcohol to an already existing prescription they're taking.
Yeah.
Now, if the doctor knew that,
right,
that'd be a huge red flag. Most doctors would be like,
yeah, you can't.
But they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They just keep prescribing this person and
upping the dose.
And ends up becoming the most permanent thing in their life. So a couple other obvious things that happen, and I wrote a couple of these down. It increases the risk of mental health conditions, already pre-existing ones, with anxiety and depression, right? Drug abuse, particularly stimulants and cannabis, can lead to anxiety, panic attacks, and more depression or new depression. Psychosis. This is one that I want to touch on because most people experience it. I've spent time incarcerated, and I've got to meet a lot of people who eventually landed there. Do you know what led most people into being incarcerated?
They literally lost their mind.
And guess what? It wasn't from bath salts. It wasn't from meth. It wasn't from alcohol. Do you know what it was really from?
Not sleeping.
Correct. Stimulants. Those of you whose loved one are abusing those, yes, the drug itself gives them a euphoric high sensation. It affects them. But how many of you know someone that maybe is suffering from an addiction and you know that they're up all night? Like, why do you think they sleep until 2 p.m? Because they're up all night, what we call in the world, tweaking. They're up fidgeting, reading about weird things, working on a weird project, crafting, doing something crazy all night. So what happens is the high is putting them into this crazy pattern, and it's the actual sleep deprivation. It is the strongest euphoric experience. If you go days without sleeping, or you have a very irregular sleep pattern,
oh yeah,
your brain
doesn't work.
That's what leads most people to jail. They were doing different kind of drugs, cocktails, substances, alcohol, and after not sleeping for a certain amount of days, they had out of body experiences.
Yeah.
How many of your loved ones are listening? Maybe not all, but some of you are sitting here going, "Oh, mine." Who have expressed before, or you've seen it, where they think people are watching them, that people are listening in on their phone calls, that people are tracking them, that the feds are outside, that they can see them parked down the road.
Yeah.
who close all their blinds and peek through. Now, if your loved one doesn't live in your home, most likely most of them, this is what they're doing. No matter what kind of drugs they're doing. Why? Because of what we just described.
Yeah. The
There's
paranoia.
hallucinations that happen. There's memory loss. There's cognitive impairment, right? There's social withdrawal.
Yeah.
Every single person, as their addiction progresses and things worsen, they isolate. They become like Smeagol on Lord of the Rings, hiding in the cave.
Well, and like you're saying, it's so confusing, right? Because are they isolating because they're depressed, or are they isolating because they're on drugs?
They're isolating because they're sick. They're getting sicker. There's another impact on cognitive function, like impaired judgment, memory problems, reduced concentration. I could go on and on and on.
Well, I think the really sad and the scariest one, obviously, is the increased risk of suicide.
That's a real one that needs to be discussed. I've had a cousin, a friend, an extended family member that have all experienced that recently. And I'm not saying that it was from an addiction. No one knows. Do you know that most people, when their addiction progresses to a really, really bad place, they 100%. So I do this assessment when I meet with people. And I share this because hear how powerful this is. I've never met you. I don't know who you are. I'm meeting you for the first time. I ask them their name, their date of birth, what their drug of choice is. And one of the first few questions I ask them is, how often do they threaten suicide? Or have they attempted?
Their loved one.
Yeah. To come out the gate with somebody you've never met before, is that being one of the leading questions that's asked?
Yeah.
And why do you think it is?
Because it's so common. I mean, that's the end of the road. I mean, that's...
Most people, myself included, I got to a hopeless place where it wasn't even that I didn't want to live, because I did, but I just couldn't find my way out. I was so tired of being sick and tired, exhausted, trapped. I didn't care if I lived or died. Now, not being able to do what some people do, I always say, and I've heard it repeated hundreds of times, I was too big of a coward to take my own life. So what did I do instead?
Just used recklessly?
I used every day, multiple times a day, in a manner that I was like, I don't even care.
It might kill me.
Your loved one, let's just say they're not sitting there shooting drugs into their vein that you're imagining. Do you know that when they're mixing the concoction of pills and alcohol and getting behind the wheel and doing what they're doing is suicidal behavior?
Yeah.
To any person in the right frame of mind, but they don't even see it anymore. They don't care, because it all stems from that hopeless feeling.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's a very hopeless feeling when you're like, okay, I've gone to the doctor, I've gotten medication, I've done all the things that I know, and I still have all these problems, and I can't sleep, and you feel hopeless.
Hopeless.
That is the most defeating feeling in the world.
Can I talk on that one again? I'm trying to tread lightly, because am I talking too much?
No.
I know there are many of you out there who do not yet see your loved one as a drug addict.
Yeah, no, they have a mental health problem, right?
It's okay. The way it's being treated right now is left them in the most miserable place. It's a place that's not sustainable. Mm-mm. Do you know that often people get to this crossroad when they're in that place? Let's just say they're being medicated by a doctor, and it's putting them in this place, and it's actually making things worse, and they just feel hopeless. That one of two things happen. One, they're introduced to another substance. That's usually what saves people from taking their own life immediately. Alcohol gets put in the way, or another drug gets put in the way. Not that saves them. It just changes the trajectory just a little bit to prolong it. But what we're doing is just exacerbating. Oh my gosh. But can you see that? That's where it's so dangerous.
It is. That's the most terrifying place, and it's where so many people live, because it is, like we said at the beginning, addiction requires blame to survive. So
It requires someone or something who's willing to continue being blamed and abused.
So if you're like, well, they have a mental health problem, that's the perfect blame.
We're blaming it on it. Remember, separate the two. We're talking about someone who's dealing with both. And where does our focus need to be? The easy answer to all this is coming up. But first of all, this is the advantage. This is the advantage of why this should fuel you to stop feeling hopeless yourself, to start feeling empowered and motivated and driven to doing whatever it is necessary to get your loved one into a controlled environment, into a place where they're properly evaluated. And it will never be convenient, and not a single person in the history of mankind's ever wanted to go.
Yeah, and it'll always be the worst time, the worst timing, all of it.
Why is it important? You and your family can learn to effectively intervene. That's a separate topic. That's actually what we do. But to get them into a place where they're in a controlled environment, like a behavioral health program, rehab, something. Why?
Yeah.
It's not the solution. It's a starting point. For number one, most importantly, before they go there, they have to go through a detox process. Whether it's at the program or at a hospital, whatever it is, let's detox them off of the chemicals that they've been self-medicating with in a healthy, safe way.
Yeah.
Then we put them into an environment where they're not able to take controlled substances, where all of these extreme medications and poisons are removed. They're given some things for comfort, right? Like some supplements and a little bit of other medications to help, but they experience extreme discomfort, which is what prohibits most people from going, right? That
100%.
That alone's too scary. But why is that important? Because...
No, you go ahead.
I want you to say what you're saying, because at the end of that period, well, I don't care if it's 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, they've been stripped of all this. They've been cleansed of all this, even if they're still erratic and uncomfortable, agitated, irritable. Then what are you addressing?
Well, then you can actually assess their mental health.
Where they're at. Now, they're still at a very unstable place. It's still exacerbated. But I hope you start to see the difference.
Well, I just want to say that what you just described right there is it's like the worst case scenario, right? For anybody, like a parent with an adult child or a spouse. Like it's so terrifying. And so it seems so over the top and excessive to say, my person that I believe has this mental health challenge needs to go into a detox and then into a facility for inpatient care. You're like, no, they don't. No, they just need to go to their psychiatrist and they need to get a new prescription. Like they need to get kind of reassessed here. We just got off course. They must not be taking their medications the right way. So it seems so excessive. But what Danny just said was so critical, which is you are going to give them a chance to be a human for a second, to be uncomfortable and to not have anything running through their veins but their own self and their own feelings and their own thoughts. And you shouldn't be scared of that because they're in a controlled environment.
Yeah, they're also getting what?
And they're getting medically assisted treatment while they're there, by the way. Like they're not going to die there.
Along with what?
But on top of that, for the first time in probably years or even decades, they're going to sleep. It might take a week or two, but they're going to get some sleep. They're going to eat food on a regular basis. They're going to take a walk outside. They're going to see sunshine. They're going to be exposed to things that made them really uncomfortable for a long time. They're actually going to have a chance to interact with people, which is, again, something they have avoided and mastered at avoided for years or decades. That you are giving them an opportunity to start again and reassess where we're at.
Yeah, you get to do all the hippie stuff is what I called it when I went to treatment. I got to do like aromatherapy, sound work, breathing work, meditation.
But it's critical.
It is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Okay, so remember I said you're going to get the short answer real quick? Is this addiction or is this mental health? when it's a loved one that's dealing with both, remember what we're talking about. Right now, who cares? Right now, you have one goal. Right now, there's one thing that matters, and that is addressing the addiction so that we can effectively address the underlying mental health. I plead with you, anyone out there wondering, which one is it? I don't know. Is it more of a mental health? It will. When you were talking, you know what the word keeps popping in my mind? That we all love in this society. And it's the last thing that helped me recover, or anyone that I know. Convenience. That any of this will be convenient. It's easier to go add a pill, to go see another psychiatrist, try a different medication, because it doesn't interrupt them being a parent. It's not a harder thing to accomplish to get someone to do.
Or go do ketamine. Just let them do ketamine.
Yeah, just go to ketamine. Or let's just go into the jungle and just drink mushrooms and work through this. You guys, the discomfort is the opportunity for growth. The discomfort is the opportunity to properly assess and diagnose the situation. Stop waiting or debating of if it's one or the other. The moment your loved one is in a program and the poisons they're self-medicating with, whatever, marijuana, vaping, alcohol, heroin, I don't care. As soon as that's gone, it isn't about that. Mm-mm. A few days into a program has nothing to do with what they were taking. The only thing that matters is, are we using the right medications to help you safely get off? It's why. Addiction, best described, is for a person who has an allergy to self that manifests in restlessness, irritability, discomfort. I could go on and on. What are those? Let's talk about them. Let's address them properly. Stop looking for another chemical or a chemical solution to an already existing chemical problem, to an emotional or spiritual wound. Give them the greatest gift and opportunity to heal and to recover. Because if you just add something else that chemically stabilizes them, for some, it may work for a period of time. But for all of them, they miss the opportunity to heal. Mm-hmm. So please, the easy answer is, it doesn't matter right now, because the addiction has to be addressed first in order for us to have any effective impact on the underlying issues, which are the most important, in which if we address those, we heal those, that's what overcomes the addiction. That's what prevents the addiction from ever coming back.
Well, and I do want to also say, and that was so powerful, thank you so much, that just because somebody was prescribed something for a mental health problem, that doesn't mean that they are in a different category. They're so unique. That means they don't need to go to rehab to truly get off of that medication. Maybe at one point that was the right medication for them. And then something changed. They changed. They combined it with something else. They used it in a way that was abusing it.
They stopped talking about their feelings.
They didn't combine it with what they were supposed to, which is a healthy lifestyle.
They just started shoving everything in a box better.
Right?
Do you know that's why most programs now are dual diagnosis? Most good qualified programs are dual diagnosis, meaning they're mental health qualified and substance abuse qualified, because they're smart enough to know that it really is a thing of mental health.
Right.
But we've got to address the addiction first.
You do. You can't get anywhere until you address the addiction.
And I love, last point of mine, and you just hit on it, this stigma and comparison thing, it's my number one pet peeve. Oh, well, they're just like this. Like, they've always dealt with mental health, and they're not like the drug addicts out there. Everyone says that crazy word. Do you know that it's those crazy drug addicts that we see that we're like, ooh, they have the greatest chance, because the spotlight becomes so bright. It becomes so apparent. Mm-hmm. Families are like, we got to do something. That's actually the easiest. It's those that it's just like, oh, sweet Tommy. He's just always had we've just zombified him in this dark abyss. it's not working and you know it's not working. So let's put them in a controlled environment. Let's allow discomfort. Let's allow professionals to do this. And then let's readdress. But if more people had the opportunity to go and experience some serious discomfort and maybe how to work through it by breathing, by talking about it, by listening to others, by some exercise and diet, that won't cure everybody, but my goodness, so many more people would experience this thing called recovery instead of a shift or a change from one chemical to the next. Now,
Amen.
I know for some that it might be best to do that, but still we have to look at each situation and say, what is it that we're dealing with? And if you've been lied and manipulated over time, you need to look at yourself and figure out how you are now become part of the problem, because we need you to be part of the solution.
Amen. Should we end with a serenity prayer?
Let's do it.
Okay. Serenity prayer for families. God, grant me the serenity to accept that I cannot change other people, the courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me.
Thank you guys for all of your love and support.
Share this episode.
It continues to grow, this podcast. If anyone out there wants to help sponsor us, we'd be loving that too.
Yeah.
But it is growing and people are enjoying it. And the more people that find out about it, the better. So help us out by sharing it, especially this episode, because everybody struggles with it. We love you guys. Hope you have a great week.